Good evening and welcome to Vacations for Canadians Cruise Chat on Wednesday evening. We're happy to have you with us. We've got some exciting things to discuss this evening, and I think what you're going to notice if you've been with us for the last couple of weeks is we've got a new format that we're testing out this evening. So we've got one topic that we're going to talk about, and that is the West Coast and the cruises that go out of the West Coast. And Tina is going to walk us through all of those lovely little tidbits of information. And we're also going to have a little chat at the end, which is kind of a panel chat. We've got Rick on board here with us. So thank you for joining us, Rick, and myself and Tina, and we're here to answer any of your questions. One of the other changes is we're actually going to try to make this a little bit more interactive, where if you've got any questions about anything that we're talking about or any cruise topics at all, shoot us a message and we'll try to address them right then and there so we can have a bit more of a dialogue with our conversation with us. So thank you for joining us. We're very excited to have you here in our first cruise chat of November. So who are we? We are Vacations for Canadians, and we were a bunch of cruise enthusiasts who love to talk about cruises, which is why we're here tonight. So we've got lots and lots of experience to share with you, and we also love to promote our cruise deals on our Facebook page and our website. So we welcome you to invite you rather to enjoy looking through our cruise deals, especially right now. People are looking to get away from the escape the snow and look for those fantastic cruises. We've got lots of them coming out to show you. So with that said, I'd love to turn the floor over to Tina, and she's going to talk to us about our LA cruises.
Thank you, Karen. I'm actually going to talk about California in general. I know that a lot of cruise ships do go out of Los Angeles, but we do have a few other cruise ports that they go out of or they stop at too that are just as great. So I did up this little slide to show you just some of my favorite reasons why I like to go to California. I've actually done 2 West Coast cruises myself, and they are a great experience. So if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, you see the wine and the cheese. So lots of wineries on the West Coast. It's very much a great excuse to drink a lot of wine on your cruise. And then you'll notice the picture of the plane. So it is actually a very easy flight. A lot of people don't realize it's actually not bad. Like you can go direct from Toronto to Los Angeles in 5 hours, or you can go from Vancouver to Los Angeles in 3 hours. So it's not a bad plane ride at all. And then we have in the orange, the whale watching. There are a lot of whales on the West Coast out in that Pacific Ocean. And then we have our famous Hollywood sign. So it is kind of a highlight to go out of California just to be able to see that Hollywood sign. Okay. And then I've got why Mexico. So when we talk about West Coast cruises, there are a few different options. We can stay on the US coast and do all of the California stops, or we can head down south and we can do Mexico. Well, I love Mexico on the West Coast, and the sunshine in that bottom left-hand circle there, you can see that's because they have such a tropical weather system all year long. So it's just beautiful all the time down in the West Coast of Mexico. It's got a great weather system. It's great for avoiding hurricane season, which, we all know seems to be getting a little bit longer and longer every year. Now, I think we're looking at June to November for hurricane season. So Mexico on the west side is a great option to avoid the hurricane season. And then, of course, my favorite reason to go to Mexico would be for the Mexican food. So love those tacos. Then we've got the picturesque landscapes of the West Coast of Mexico. It's very different from what you'll see in the Caribbean. Just amazing landscapes. And then economically, it is a great place to go for less money. I mean, everybody's going to the Caribbean, especially as Canadians. We tend to all seem to want to go to the Caribbean, but it is actually a lot cheaper to go out of the West Coast and head down to Mexico. And Mexico is very economical as well. So it makes for, a budget-friendly cruise. Okay, so I'm just going to touch on some of the locations on the West Coast and things that you can do. So my first slide here is Los Angeles. If you look at the top left-hand corner, you can see I'm sitting on the Friends set. So one of the things that we did was we did tours of some of the famous TV sets, which was a really great experience. We did the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You can see that Princess Cruises has a actual star on the Walk of Fame. The bottom left-hand corner, we're actually walking through a fake town where they do a lot of their they're making movies and TV shows. Then on the top right, we have the Santa Monica Pier, which is absolutely beautiful. Lots of restaurants and entertainment going on there. Some of the other things that you might want to think about in Los Angeles is Venice Beach, Beverly Hills. One thing that we did too was a hop on, hop off bus, which took us around to everywhere that we wanted to go. And actually that's me on the bottom right and on a hop on, hop off bus. Okay, next slide. Going a little bit north, we now have San Francisco. One thing I love about San Francisco is the history. It's got so much great history. It's got the Fisherman's Wharf. It's got Alcatraz. Now, just saying that, I just looked at Karen's Wanderlust Wednesday today, and she's got San Francisco, and there was a comment on there about Alcatraz and how you need to get your tickets ahead of time. And absolutely, it's why I didn't get to Alcatraz, because I didn't have my tickets ahead of time. So one thing to note if you're going there, the city is really cool driving around. They have the rolling hills, if you're going in on a cruise, you'll go under the Golden Gate Bridge. There's just so many great things to see there. The Hyde Street Pier, lots of things to do in San Francisco. And then just some of my pictures there. Actually, the bottom left, you can kind of get an idea of how the rolling hills are. That's pretty much all of San Francisco. The roads are all up and down like that. All right, next slide. San Diego. So this is actually at the very southern end of California. And for San Diego, we've got the gas lamp corridor. That would be great for your dining, your shopping, your entertainment. They have a lot of museums there, including the USS Midway. And they have the famous San Diego Zoo. So always a great spot. Okay, now we are going to head into Mexico. So the first one I have, Cabo San Lucas. So if you can just take a look at the picture on the bottom right-hand corner, that's me and my family when we were there, and you can see those famous arches. It's called El Arco Rock Formation, and it's a must-do. You can see it when you get there at the pier, and take hire a boat or do a shore excursion to go out and actually go around those arches. It's pretty fantastic. Some other things we've got in Cabo, lots of beaches, some more whale watching, lots of snorkeling, and lots of shopping. Okay, and I'm going to move on to Puerto Vallarta. I guess these aren't in order, right? I mean, we're popping all over the West Coast here. So Puerto Vallarta, I mean, it's kind of known for its all-inclusive. So I would say if you're going to Puerto Vallarta, maybe look for a day resort that you can go to. There's lots of other things to do. They've got live concerts, lots of picturesque locations as well. They've got golf, sport fishing, just lots of things going on in Puerto Vallarta. It's a very hoppin' town. Okay, and the next, Mazatlan. So Mazatlan is really, you would pull into a commercial port and then they would tram you over to the cruise terminal. It's known as the Pearl of the Pacific. Lots of things to do. Again, there's lots of beach fronts, there's golfing, there's lots of picturesque churches there. There's brewery tours, fishing, a lot of things to do there. Next slide, Ensenada. And Ensenada, it's got a great market when you get off at the cruise port. They have a waterfront promenade. There's a winery. They actually have a sea geyser. If you've never seen a sea geyser, those are pretty cool, where you see the water, you wait and wait and you wait and you wait, and all of a sudden then the water goes up out of the ground. And lots of shopping and restaurants there. Okay, Linda is going to flip on a video. So this is Royal Caribbean, and they are going to be launching, and I'm not going to say the ship, but they're going to be launching a new ship over on the West Coast. So they will actually have 3 ships over on the West Coast, and I'm sure this video will give it away. I think, or maybe this is the old ship. I'm not really sure. But yeah, this is their video promoting the West Coast.
Love, filling up my cup, never get enough, that's what I want. Yeah.
Well, that was a quick video. Did y'all catch that name? You might need to know it. So there are quite a few cruise lines that go out of the West Coast, but Royal Caribbean is definitely one of them. And we are definitely trying to help them fill those ships out the West Coast because they've got some good ships over there. And it's a great area of the world to explore as an alternative to the Caribbean. Okay, I'm done. That was quick.
Well, thank you for that, Tina. So, as you can see, there's a lot of places for us to visit in the West Coast. There's California, there's Mexico, and it is really a gateway to a lot of great, great destinations. So I think one that we maybe sometimes don't think about initially, we think about Florida, we think about all those ports of call and to embark from, but there's so much more to offer. And I love that Royal Caribbean is putting so much emphasis on this area because I think it is one that's going to start to mushroom out. As people start thinking about it, I think about our friends who live out in the West who they're looking for that shorter flight, right? They don't want to have to go all the way to Florida if they can avoid it. And so many neat, fresh options for people who've done a lot of Caribbean cruises as well. So a lot of great things there.
Yep. And that's me. I mean, I've done so many Caribbean cruises that it's kind of refreshing to go over to the West Coast and get to see different things.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't mention the divers. I think of when I went to some of those Mexican ports, so that the divers that we're watching is crazy to watch, as they're watching the sea kind of bubble up to the right spot and they dive at the very right moment. It's almost breathtaking. I don't know if they still do it. It's quite dangerous, I'm sure, but it's the lay of the land, I suppose. So fun. So Linda, I think it looks like we might be doing our giveaway at this point, or are we going to do, I don't know if there's any questions that we have. I know we've got some questions that we prepared to chat through.
Yeah, we don't have any questions yet on the chat or on the comments, but if you do have questions regarding the West Coast, LA, California, Mexico, or just cruising related questions, please feel free to drop them into the comments and we will answer those for you. But we're going to do a giveaway. So the first person that answers in the comments with the name of a Royal Caribbean ship that sails from LA to the West Coast will win a Vacations for Canadians water bottle. So very, very stylish. Very stylish, very good to bring on trips.
Got one.
Oh, wow. You guys
were paying attention. Goodness.
They were paying attention. So Diane Dolan was the first one to comment there. So congratulations, Diane. You are the winner. And I'm going to put my email address, I'm doing it right now, in the comments. And you can just email me and I will get your prize out to you.
So actually it would be a great time to mention that the Royal Caribbean ships that are going to be out or already out on the West Coast are Navigator of the Seas, Ovation of the Seas, and Quantum of the Seas.
Indeed.
Nice.
So we're switching things up a little bit. So if you've been with us and following along, we've been doing this for a few months now. We always do a cruise chat, Ask Us Anything, and we look for questions from you, our audience. But we're sticking now to one topic so that we have more time to chat, because what we're finding is people have lots of great cruising questions and we want to make sure we answer them all. And so we are going to switch over to a panel format. Ooh, look at us. And
I have a question right off the bat. Go back to that last slide for a second.
Are you going to make me do that, are you?
How are we all the same height?
We're not.
It is the miracle of photoshopping. Everybody gets to be the same height, so no one feels bad.
I think Matt's twice the size of Carrie, and yet they're the same height.
Well, some of it was camera angles because the first time I put Carrie in, she also had her head looked ginormous because she was like taken closer up than other people. So we did a little bit of scaling, and everybody is now equal. So that is all of our team is not here tonight. We've got Luke who's sailing. Matt and Carrie were otherwise occupied. Jason is listening in, but he isn't able to actually get on the feed from where he is right now. But he's in the background hanging out with us. And so we're going to start with our panel. I have some questions for you guys to get things started. And I'm going to go to the panel and ask you, what are some unique onboard and shore experiences that set cruises from LA to Mexico apart from other destinations? So what kind of things can people do there that they can't do other places?
I'll jump in.
Good job, Rick.
I mean, unique. I'm going to change your question a bit because my answer is not unique. I remember we did the West Coast trip many years ago with the kids. We're not kids anymore, but we're beach people. We love the beaches, and they're incredible down there. And the one that sticks out of my mind is Cabo. Cabo is amazing with that. What do you call it, Tina? The elephant?
The arches. The arches.
Yeah, the arches.
Yeah.
It's something. Everybody's got to take a picture of that one.
Yep.
So, we had a great time on there. And I remember in Cabo, we took this banana boat ride. Not something I normally do and not something I've done since, but I had fun. Kind of lost my glasses in the water at that time, but silly me.
That's awesome. I love a good beach myself. I am a big fan of the beaches. And let's pop over to Karen. I feel like we're on the Brady Bunch. There to Karen.
Gotcha. Pardon me. Well, as I've mentioned before in previous cruise chats, I really, really like to take advantage of the initial port of call. So what I love about LA sailings is I like what's around it too. So the first time we went to Disneyland, and it was super fun. We went a couple days up and we got to experience that. I'm always a fan of the mouse, so that's a good few days before we get into the cruise. And the other time we actually spent some time in LA. So that's probably why, Tina, I was thinking LA every time we were thinking the West Coast, because it's so memorable for me when we took a tour to see some of the stars' houses and the Walk of Fame and all that good stuff. It was a really, really interesting way to start our cruise. So I think maybe that embarkation port is something to be paying a bit of attention to. Over to you, Tina.
All right.
I don't know which way you are.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to go with San Francisco because I thought that was very memorable for me. And I'm going to pick a couple of things in San Francisco. So I did bring up Alcatraz. Alcatraz, for those of you that maybe don't recognize the name but not really sure. So it's an abandoned prison that is on an island. Now they don't use it anymore. They found it was more economical to build a new prison. But so that prison is still over there. So you can actually get a ferry over there. And I haven't been yet, but I think I'm really excited to go over there to get there. But what I did get to do in San Francisco was go to the Fisherman's Wharf. And that was a lot of fun. And the thing that I remember the most about that was we found this really great restaurant that had sourdough bread, and they made chowder in it, and it was so good. So those are the fun things that I like to do, is find really cute little, it wasn't even little, it was a big restaurant, but it was really good. And it was right on the wharf. So we had a great view and it was a great day.
Tina, I think we ate at the same restaurant because that's what I talked about in my my Wanderlust today. That
did you really? I didn't even read the Wanderlust.
I did. It was exactly the sourdough bread and the chowder, which very memorable, right? It's all about the food. So that's why I travel.
You know what else I remember from San Francisco is the smell of those. Oh, yeah. What is it? Is it sea lions or? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it was bad.
Noted.
They're great
Stay
to
away
watch.
from the sea lions.
Stay away from this. Yeah. No, it's a great place to go and get some cool video of them, bouncing around each other and making all their noises.
Also in San Francisco, you're not too far away from Napa Valley. So if you want to talk about wine,
Yep.
I've been there many times, and believe it or not, I did a hot air balloon ride once there.
Really?
Oh,
That's
it was amazing.
awesome.
I didn't even think I was going to get into it, but once I got into it, that was fine.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I great excuse to drink wine, go to the West Coast.
All right, so we have our first questions of the night. This one comes from Doug. He said, how close are beaches or activities to the ports? How walkable? Are excursions almost a given?
I would say for the Mexico, for sure, most of them are really close. Maybe most of them maybe a 10-minute walk or maybe just a short taxi away. So Mexico, I don't think you have to look up port by port, but for the most part, most of them are pretty close to get to beaches. I'm not sure if you're going to do beaches in California or do all the other fun stuff that you have going on. So you might need to get a taxi, or, it is California, you could rent a car. So it'd be quite easy to get a car.
So I'm just going to say that Jason, we have like a little side chat in our group so that we can talk to each other if we need to, in case someone freezes or something weird happens. And Jason, while he can't be on here, has said that he loves the sea lions and just being by the pier at night. Don't forget to go and see where they filmed Full House, which was what I was actually thinking about. Like Full House was filmed there in the
I went to the set of Fuller House. I did.
And he said, and of course, a trip across the bridge. So thanks, Jason. I wish you could get on with us so we could see your face and let you chat. But thank you for dropping those comments in there. And if you have any more, please feel free to do that. And and I don't know that this is so much.
Karen and Rick want to answer the last question, Linda.
Oh, sorry. Yep. About how close the beaches are.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we didn't take any short excursions from the ship. We just did taxis to the beaches, and they were very short, as Tina mentioned. So they're all very doable and very affordable.
I spent a bit of time in Cabo. I spent a little bit of time in Cabo a couple weeks ago, and the beach is, the ship is tendered. You're tendered in, and the town and the beaches are right there. Like it's right there. Sometimes you have to watch the water. Sometimes it can be a little bit dangerous depending upon what coast you're on. So just be mindful of what's going on with the undercurrent and whatnot. Even if you're a good swimmer, you don't want to have an issue on vacation. So just be mindful of watching for that.
Great. So we're getting some comments in here. I'll just, I'll share these. So much to see in San Francisco. Book Alcatraz tickets in advance to avoid disappointment and spend 2 days in San Francisco before the cruise. So great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing. And from Colleen, she says, we like to do a couple of days in San Fran to break up the long haul flights. So much to see and do and great food. And now that I've heard about chowder in sourdough, that kind of pretty much puts that on my to-do list. That's all I needed to hear.
There was actually a sourdough museum. Did you see that too?
Yeah,
for real. I
remember doing a little tour in the restaurant of the bread making.
Yeah. That's really ancient
going back
sourdough.
10 years though, so I'm trying to recall my memory, but yeah.
I love
you were just there, weren't you?
It was a long time ago for me too, actually.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It was probably 15 years ago.
All right, so we have a question from Kate. Are there any B2B or S to S that would go up the West Coast and then to Alaska or vice versa?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep, there's lots of options actually, because what you're doing, the West Coast, they're often the Alaska cruise ships coming down for the season, and they will do the West Coast, or they will be repositioning and they'll go through, they'll only do 1 or 2 over there, and they'll reposition through the Panama Canal over to the Caribbean. But if the cruise line has set up the cruise ship on the West Coast, you could potentially get out to Hawaii from there. And Jason would know about, because I know he's booked some the fire and ice cruises where you do Alaska and then you come down and then you head over to Hawaii. So a great option there. But yeah, for sure, there's always opportunity to catch 2 different cruises, or even 3. You could do Alaska, West Coast USA, and then down to Mexico.
There's also some to the South Pacific, Tahiti, in that area, which is a big favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everybody got wanderlust now? These questions?
I know,
Ready
right?
to jump on a cruise. So Carol is asking, are there any cruises leaving Vancouver to the West Coast and return to Vancouver?
Round trip? I'm not sure.
Alaska, but that's the first that comes to mind. I don't know.
I think you're going to be going probably Vancouver to Los Angeles would be the closest that you could get to doing that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Without doing Alaska, like you're going to hit Oregon and Seattle and San Francisco. And, but yeah, you would definitely need to get that flight home back to Vancouver. If you don't want to do Alaska, that's the only option that I know of, unless you guys know of something.
No.
That's it.
But we can research it though.
For sure.
So tune in next week. Rick has made a promise that he's going to research that this way. No, this way. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can only go up.
I'll check it out, Carol. Carol, I'll send. It's Carol, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Carol. Yeah, Carol, I'll send you an email.
Awesome. All right. So I've got another question for you guys, and I want to know from you. How do these West Coast cruises cater to different types of travelers? So, families, solo adventurers, luxury seekers, is there something for everyone? Maybe
There is,
start with
actually.
Karen? Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, there is. When I think about some of the things that Tina was talking about, so think about the wine culture that's there. So that's, if you're a wine lover, that's one thing you can just really, the grown-ups can go and enjoy that and really, really get into that. I also think of the wildlife that's there too. So you can see all kinds of great stuff. So we talked about the great fragrance and the aroma of the San Diego or San Francisco rather. But there's also whales. There's all kinds of different animals you can see. I remember in Cabo, there's sea lions out you can see when you go to the boat. So that could be a lot of fun too. Snorkeling, all kinds of stuff. So that I think is really family friendly, and there's plenty to do. So absolutely, there's something for everyone.
Yeah. And I would add on there that, there's the San Diego Zoo as well, which is world famous. But all 3 of Royal Caribbean ships, for example, are very family friendly. The 2 Quantum class ships and then the Navigator of the Seas, lots of things for kids to do on those ships. Lots of things. I'm thinking about the Mexico ports with the beaches, and, you could do a day pass at a resort. There would be tons of things for kids to do there as well.
And what about our luxury seekers? Is there what do you think they're going to? Rick, you're all about luxury. What are our luxury cruisers doing out of the West Coast?
Well, like I said, they go into how do we pronounce that? Papeete, Tahiti, Bora Bora.
Oh, Papeete.
Yeah, I always say it wrong. And and there's a lot of them that sail from there. I mean, you can start Trans-Pacifics, I believe, from there.
I just thought of something else, Linda. There's a lot of golf on the West Coast. I did mention that in my presentation. There's a lot of golf courses. There's some Jack Nicklaus golf courses. So that's definitely something for those luxury cruisers as well.
Great. And Jason popped into our chat again. I get to be Jason. So Jason said, don't forget about the dolphins. Lots of dolphins to see. All right. So my next question, because I'm not seeing any in the comments, and just a reminder to everyone that is on our chat, your questions don't have to be about this particular presentation. You've got 3 of our amazing travel advisors here, so you can ask them anything about cruising, and they are happy to answer. I'll speak on their behalf, saying they're happy to answer anything. So until we get some more questions, I'm gonna hit you up with one more. And my question is, what advice would you give to a first-time cruiser to Mexico on making the most of their trip? So somebody like me who's never gone out of the West Coast, never gone to Mexico, through the West Coast, what would your advice be?
Well, I'll start with research. I would say research every port. You can reach out to your agent and get some tips from them. But as well, there's lots of information on the internet, and know what you're going into. So whether you want to have those shore excursions, if you're confident enough to just get off the ship and hop in a taxi. Either are great options. It's all about your comfort level, but make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I would say that question applies to almost everywhere, and the answer is know what you want, and know what you're gonna get. And once you choose the cruise, then you research what you want to do on each of the ports. Whether you want to go play around at golf, you want to go to the beach, you want to go shopping, you can do anything and anywhere. And that's the beauty of cruising. You can do anything or nothing, but you do it the way you like to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Karen,
I don't think
have anything to add?
Nothing really to add. Just I think there's some ports that are very walkable. So when you get off the ship, you can just do stuff right there. And there's others that you really need to plan something because there's not much there. So knowing the difference and knowing what you're walking off to is very important, because you don't want to be disappointed when you get there and wish you had planned an excursion if you didn't do so.
Like Alcatraz.
Like Alcatraz, which you and I both have missed out. So we need a redo for sure.
I think we definitely need a redo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I would say, as someone who was a first-time cruiser, that was one of the mistakes that I did make, is that I just figured I'd fly by the seat of my pants and figured out when I got there. I was like hedging on what I wanted to do. And, my first port stop was great. It was super walkable and I could just walk to the beach, and I had 2 teens with me. And we know how they love to walk and have adventures. And so we did that for the first port, but then our second port was in Jamaica, and nothing, I kind of was like, oh, maybe I need to do some research. So I was on my Wi-Fi in our stateroom Googling like what I could do in Jamaica, and there was nothing really close to the port. And, being, all females by ourselves, I was like, I feel like I need a shore excursion for this one. And it would have, it all worked out. We had a great time, had great excursions, all those things, but it would have been a lot less stressful for me if I had done my research in advance. So I would say, as a first-time cruiser, that is excellent advice. I would agree with you 100% because I made that mistake and did not do my research. And I think Jason has popped in as well. Oh, yes, he did. So Jason says, remember to stay on ship times unless they tell you otherwise. And remember, your cell phone may change to island time. So yeah, nobody wants to get left behind.
No, we don't want any of our clients being those peer runners. That's for sure. We don't want to see you on the internet.
Can I jump back to answer Carol?
Yeah, of course. Look at you already researching.
Well, I'm quick on the draw. So Carol, no 7-day cruises, but I found one and only one that is 11 days on the Coral Princess on September 24th of 2025. Vancouver, Seattle, Victoria, LA, San Diego, San Francisco, and back to Vancouver.
Love that.
And you just may see that posted tomorrow.
Rick.
Yeah. And Rick's going to put in all the reasons why. Actually, September is one of those months where you're rolling the die out of the Caribbean, right? Because it's a big hurricane month. And not to say that I wouldn't feel safe on a ship in the Caribbean in September, because we know that they can avoid any severe weather. But why? Why? Just go over to the West Coast.
Good choices.
Okay, and Jason says, in further to his comment, leave enough time to get back on the ship, and if you have a balcony, it can be fun to watch the pier runners, unless that's you.
I love it. Let's slot the pier runners in for one of these presentations. I think we should just watch peer runners.
Watch peer runners. That can be our whole presentation.
Sure.
We'll do a
That's pretty
poll on
funny.
that in our Facebook group. So I think that that's it for questions. Our new format obviously is a little bit shorter than our other format, but we hope that you liked it. And I'm going to pass it back to Karen to wrap things up.
So thank you for joining us. Again, we love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what you're thinking. We're always trying to make this better for you because we're doing this for you. So we will be soon asking you for comments and feedback. Also, stay tuned for next week because we've got a really great episode coming up next Wednesday where we're talking about traveling with children. So Matt is going to be talking about that. He's got lots of experience traveling with his kiddos, and I'm sure he's got
three.
He's got different ages, so he's got some great pointers of how to keep everybody happy and entertained while on their family cruise. So that you can look forward to next week. So we'll see you then.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Hal.